All right, welcome back to another explainer. Today we're diving into a genuinely fascinating guide on the absolute foundational pillars of visual data analysis. You know, if we really want to master graphic interpretation, especially for something as ridiculously demanding as Domain C, the source material points us right here to three specific things: level, trend, and variability.
So right out of the gate, the material hits us with a pretty high-stakes question. Can you make clinical decisions under pressure? Because let's be real, it's not just about casually reading simple charts. It's about accurately decoding complex, multi-phase graphs when the clock is ticking and the pressure is completely on.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for the explainer. First, visual analysis under pressure. Then, Pillar 1, defining level. Pillar 2, spotting trend. Pillar 3, measuring variability. After that, we'll look at the clinical gold standard, and finally, wrap up with next steps for mastery. Starting off with Section 1, Visual Analysis Under Pressure. The stakes outlined here are honestly intense. The text makes it crystal clear: if you cannot accurately isolate these three properties on the fly, you are absolutely going to misinterpret experimental control. And if that happens, well, any resulting clinical decisions you make are basically flawed right from the ground up.
Moving right along to Section 2, Pillar 1, Defining Level.
So, what exactly is level? The material provides a really nice, precise anchor for this. It's simply the position of your dataset along the vertical axis. Just imagine drawing a perfectly horizontal line straight through the center of a cluster of points. Wherever that line hits the vertical axis, that tells you exactly where the behavior is happening at that specific phase.
But it's not a guessing game. The guide highlights that level is quantified mathematically by taking the mean or the median of your data points. And this is brilliant because it gives us a definitive, objective anchor, completely stripping away any of that tricky subjectivity.
All right, on to Section 3, Pillar 2, spotting trend. Now, while level tells us where the behavior is sitting, trend is that vital indicator of where the behavior is heading over time. The material defines it as the overall direction and rate of change of the data path. Think of it like a diagonal line cutting right through the data. Is it moving up, moving down, and just how fast is it changing?
When you're looking for a trend, the data path is generally doing one of three things. It's either accelerating, it's decelerating, or it's showing a zero trend, meaning no clear direction of change over time. Spotting which one of these is happening instantly is absolutely crucial for predicting future behavior.
Which brings us to Section 4, Pillar 3, Measuring Variability.
Variability. This one is all about the bounce. By definition, it is the frequency and degree to which multiple data points deviate from the trend line. So if we picture that trend line we just talked about, variability measures how wildly the actual data points are scattering above and below it. Are they hugging it tightly, or are they just bouncing all over the place? Now, what's really interesting is how this visual concept translates directly into clinical reality. There's this fantastic quote in the material: "High variability means your environment is noisy and you lack behavioral control." A massive bounce isn't just chaotic data, right? It's a huge red flag indicating that unseen variables are at play in the environment and behavioral control is lacking.
Okay, Section 5, the clinical gold standard.
Let's see how this all builds together. Comparing a stable baseline directly against a highly variable one reveals pretty much everything. On one hand, a controlled data path has a super clear level and trend because the variability is low. But on the other hand, a variable baseline, it's just full of extreme bounce and environmental noise. So the crucial point here, an absolute rule stressed heavily in the text, is that you never introduce an intervention into a highly variable baseline, if you can avoid it. Why? Well, because the bounce will completely mask the treatment effect. Think about it. If the behavior is naturally bouncing wildly up and down anyway, and then you introduce an intervention, there is literally no way to know if your intervention caused a change or if it was just another random bounce in a noisy environment. To handle that kind of volatility, the text lays out three really clear practical directives. First, hold steady. Do not rush to intervene. Second, isolate those sneaky environmental variables that are causing the chaotic bounce. And third, wait. Wait to establish a clear, stable baseline before you even try to accurately measure the effect of any intervention. And finally, Section 6, Next Steps for Mastery. Look, knowing the theory is one thing, for sure, but the material stresses that test day requires immediate reflex-like recognition.
So the final directive recommended here is to head over to the BxM student portal and run through the Advanced Graphic Interpretation Matrix. You've got to cement these definitions of level, trend, and variability directly into your reflexes.
Taking command of those environmental variables and executing flawless data analysis, that is exactly what separates good clinicians from truly great ones. So the ultimate question the text leaves us with is this: are you ready to master the matrix and take total control of the data?